Hello and welcome to our ongoing discussion on Uzmangazat TV on issues of importance to the South Caucasus and beyond. I am Dr. Joanne Lisosky, author and journalism educator. Today I am joined by my friends, Ambassador Arif Shakmarley, former Azerbaijani ambassador to COE and the European Union, and for the first time, Aygen Aytac, international communication consultant, former BBC producer, and former UN communication officer in Azerbaijan, and author of the upcoming book, War and Caviar, about her experiences in the Azerbaijani conflict in 1993. Well, we are into the 5th week of fighting between Armenia and Azerbaijan. Little progress with 3 previous ceasefire agreements that have been broken almost as soon as they had started. Meeting Friday in Geneva, the Minsk group, France, US, and Russia, both sides agreeing they will not deliberately target civilian populations or non-military objects in accordance with international humanitarian law. But shelling was reported shortly after those agreements. But I want to talk today a little bit about the citizens in Azerbaijan. And it sounds like any ceasefire would be highly unpopular among the citizens in Azerbaijan. This is unprecedented in Azerbaijani history, that the citizens would be so consolidated behind the war, behind the president. Even the president's opposition leaders are coming out highly in favor of continuing this fighting. I think that's probably why these ceasefires aren't working that well. What about the average citizen in Azerbaijan? Arif, Mr. Ambassador, your family's from Ganja. So what are you hearing about why the citizens are so much in favor of this war?
Thank you, John. You are absolutely right. Any kind of discussion about the ceasefire or the peace deal is very unpopular. And this is explainable because for the last 27 years, Azerbaijani people have been patiently waiting for something to come out of the negotiations within the Minsk group, and nothing was happening. These territories have been under occupation for the last 27 years. No deal, no any region has been liberated. And now when someone talks about the ceasefire or any kind of the negotiations, people take it as the betrayal of the Azerbaijani army. So people believe, and this is reality, that Azerbaijani army is really getting successes on the military field. It advances in different areas, in different directions. And when someone talks about the peace talks and negotiations, people say that, oh, you are the traitor, you betray Azerbaijani army, we shed so much blood. It's not also popular to talk about the casualties. And as you know, Azerbaijan doesn't give information about the losses. Even talking about the losses is very unpopular because there is like consensus within the Azerbaijani society that now we do whatever is necessary to retake back Karabakh, and then we'll talk about the losses. Even those who understand, that any war, whatever successful, unsuccessful, when you even completely destroy the other side, finally you have to sit around the table and start talking. And even those who understand that we have to prepare for the day after are not daring to talk about that because you are immediately attacked, and popular social media starts saying that, oh, You talk about the war, the peace. It's not possible. They have been occupying our territories. So much blood is shed, and this is the reality. And probably we have to talk more about that. But when single voice speaks about that, then you immediately become the target. But if there is a group of people or intellectuals or politicians, then we can start, really changing this attitude. And I believe that someday we have to talk about that, because I believe that for now, international attention is shifted in US elections. Russia, lots of domestic problems, but Russia keeps Karabakh issue very much on its focus. And I don't think that it will let Armenians to lose in Karabakh battlefield, but it will not let Armenia to lose militarily completely, because it's military ally, and it would be bad for the image of Russia as an ally of Armenia, and it would be a bad example for others. So also in France, you see their attention is shifted to this radicalization. Europe is now busy, but things might change, and we have to prepare for the peace, for talks. Also, we have to think that someday there should be the parallel tracks, not only official track when government officials speak between each other, but also civil societies start thinking, because any deal, İlham Aliyev himself said that we are ready to grant Armenians in Karabakh a normal living, and they are, secure their rights and democratic, their rights and freedoms. So intellectuals have to think about that. Civil societies have to think about it. But civil societies we can say that are almost not existent in Azerbaijan, particularly on the Karabakh issue, because any kind of the contact, even before this wide war, were not welcomed by Baku, and anyone who was engaged and who was negotiating was also attacked immediately by the government, because government doesn't want anyone else to have is not interested in having this parallel track. They want to focus and keep this negotiation process and everything 100% under their own control.
Well, thank you, Mr. Ambassador. Of course, it's much easier for a government to wage war when the people are wholly behind it. There's no doubt about that. That's historically accurate throughout time. But I want to talk to Aygen a little bit about your experiences. You were right there in 1993 and the first war between, maybe not the first war, but certainly the one that people remember, between Armenia and Azerbaijan. And you were really right there, saw things that were going on. Is anything that you witnessed can help you explain why the citizens are so much in favor of this conflict now?
Actually, Joanna, when I hear the sentences like 1 million refugees, classical when they are talking about Azerbaijan-Armenian war, or regions, war, conflict, I have a different view of, as you told, I have a different view of the war. I was UN information officer in 1993-94 in Baku, and we used to go to front lines very frequently. And in October 1993, I was part of a UN mission to the front line, and there we went to the south of Azerbaijan, but the soldiers there we met, they said you cannot go further because Armenians occupied the territories. So we had to crossed the border to Iran and had to travel 300 or so kilometers to Hüdaferin Bridge along the border. And even now I'm shaking while telling this story because I've never seen something like that in my life before or after, even in the films. All those regions, all mountains were in fires. They were burning all towns. I've seen it with my own eyes. It was like a surreal film to me. You know, how could this, you know, houses were burning, forests were burning, Fizuli, Cebrail, all the towns below Karabakh, not Karabakh. So we went to a Hüdaferin Bridge, and on the way we met lots of refugees, and like hundreds of thousands of refugees, old people, young people, girls, children, women, old people again. And they were telling us, they were, of course, running away from those attacks, Armenian attacks. And there is this Aras River between Iran and Azerbaijan. And one of them told me that, you know, at one point, and by the way, they were hungry for 3 days. And she told me at one point, we couldn't distinguish between the dead animals and dead children in the river. You know, they were trying to escape the attacks, the tanks and all the shooting and firing. And when we came to Hüdaferin Bridge, there was a battalion, there was an army there, Azeri army, which withdrawn. And Azerbaijan State Secretary, then Lala Hacıyeva, was with us. And she said, why aren't you fighting for your country? Why did you withdraw? And they were rightly saying, because those were very difficult times for Azerbaijan, just after the collapse of the Soviet Union. Economy was bad, this oil century, this oil agreement was not done, resources were not used. So it was a very inexperienced state then. And the soldiers told Lala Hacıyeva that we sent many faxes to Baku, but nobody responded. I wonder whether they've even received it, because everything was scarce, lots of scarcity after the collapse of the Soviet Union. I mean, lines may not be working, etc. So having seen all these atrocities, I am not surprised now Azerbaijanis want to go back to their homes till the end. And let me illustrate this with a story. I have a very good Armenian friend. She's my friend from London School of Economics in London. We studied together. Her name is Gayane. Hello to her if she watches. And Gayane in London once, some thieves on the street grabbed her bag and ran away. And Gayane went after them and took her back. And when she reported this to the British police said, never do that, because the thieves think that it's their bag now. So it's very risky, very dangerous for you. And now when I see this as a human being, not UN official even, as a human being, when I see this war, just because of all the sad experiences I had, and I also visited hospitals, soldiers were in blood. Actually, our UN interpreter fainted in that bloodshed in the hospital. He couldn't translate, he couldn't go further. We had to deal with him. You see, it was such a horrible time. Now, because of this experience, which I witnessed with my own eyes, I cannot say I don't understand Azeris. They want to get their bag and territories and houses and gardens back. And now I see the Armenian side. I wouldn't like any person, any soldier to die in this world, because life is too short, too good to fight. But still, when I see them as those thieves who are trying to, resisting Gayane to take her bag back. So that's how I see the situation. And that's how I understand the Azeri people.
Thank you, Aygen. That was a really good illustration. It seems, Arif, as though these horrible things that happened almost more than 30 years ago And they're still very fresh in everyone's mind. And a lot of that freshness may come from those 1 million IDPs who are living in Azerbaijan now. Why are we not hearing more about these internally displaced persons in Azerbaijan? And why are they not getting equal play as the people in Armenia?
John, probably I would firstly comment on what Aygen Hanım said. Probably we were at the same plane, at the same helicopter, because I remember I was also flying with a team of diplomats, including UN diplomats, and one of an interpreter of the UN, he fainted. I remember that, so that I was probably at the same.
We got old.
I remember we flew over Armenian position, and we were fearing that they might fire on the helicopter.
And actually, there was a missile which went under the helicopter, huh?
Yes. So that we were at the same helicopter.
Yes.
That time I was
nice to see you're alive.
Yeah, I remember it was I was like second secretary in the foreign ministry of Azerbaijan before being posted to Brussels, and since that I never returned back. Mostly my career was in Brussels or Strasbourg, and also writing about Caviar, but not in the context of the war, but in the context of corruption.
We can talk about it.
Yeah, well, you heard probably about the Caviar diplomacy in the Council of Europe. I was one of the whistleblowers, as it's popular.
So these really familiar, wonderful memories that you have. These are memories that the people who are being hurt in Azerbaijan, they have the same. The memories are as fresh as they are for you. Azerbaijani refugees and displaced people from Karabakh, most of them, when they see the videos of that areas, they cry. In the social media, you can see lots of people say that we cry. We see the bridge on which I was passing to the school. Someone was visited his school, destroyed, and he says, "Oh, I started at this school." And elder people who cry. One woman, there was also on the social media, she opened her box, like sunduk, we call it, and took her old key, set of keys from her home in Karabakh, so that people really, most of them are one way or another settled in other parts of Azerbaijan, in Baku, in Ganja. But it's unbelievable that they all are ready to leave everything in Baku and go back. So that this wish to go back to their territories is enormous. And many people, even those who are not Karabakhis, they really desperately want to go back, because they say that we had our habits, and when people, with the time being, even I live in Brussels for a long time, but when you are over 50, you think that no, I want to go back home, even if you have everything, you have good conditions, you live in a nice country, but still, the will to go back, to have the same sentiments, to cross, as I said, the same bridge, to go and see your school is very important. I believe that now one of those who are very much supporting the military operation are this category of people, refugees. They want to go to different parts of Azerbaijan where they have been living before the conflict, and they really want to live there and build there and set up their families, bring wider families.
So I believe that they understand, and probably they are, as Aygen said, that they knew that their bag has been stolen, and they want it back, and they are not going to let it go, because it is our land. We lived there for centuries. Armenians claim that they lived before Christ, but there is international law, all documents which say that this territory belongs to Azerbaijan. It's like your property. When you have your documents, and in the document it is written that Karabakh is part of Azerbaijan. 7 regions are part of Azerbaijan. And when Armenia says that 4th century before Jesus Christ, some Armenians lived there, you can come and live together, but this is now my home, and I have been living there for centuries, and I don't believe in your history, because my history says that Karabakh was part of the Caucasian Albania, which was the state on the territory of the modern Azerbaijan, which was as ancient as Armenians claim their state. So that in the 21st century, you cannot go all the time back to your deep history. You have to think about the future for you, for your children, and future lies not only in getting comfort for yourself, but living together with your friends and with your neighbors. Even if you don't like your neighbor, you have to accept that Azerbaijanis live there, and the document for the house, which is called Karabakh, belongs to Azerbaijan. That's why, with all their diaspora, with all their Armenian oligarchs, they cannot get international support. Thank you.
May I add a few things, Joanna?
Yes, I was hoping that you would talk a little bit, because you're really an expert on
Joanna, actually,
IDPs.
your questions are so to the point, so wise. Thank you for them, because these issues I see are not talked in the mainstream media. What I would like to add is this: as far as I observe, Azeris are Azeri Turks are very dignified people. They have this pride. They had this in 1993. I was earning dollars, but even with dollars, it was impossible to find bread in 1993 in Azerbaijan or anything else. We would go out with our nylon bags in case we find something in the corner of a street to eat, to buy. So we would buy it, because there were no nylon bags either. Nothing. And when UN fact-finding missions came to Azerbaijan to meet the ministers, I was part of many of those meetings, and the refugee camps were in dirt. Like, we couldn't find breads in dollars. How could they find? I got white body lice. You know, we all know in elementary school we get those lice, black head lice. I got body lices, white little organisms in the refugee camps, because no sanitation, no water, nothing, just water under their bed after snow, after rain. The beds were, I mean, Mr. Ambassador is saying, oh, they are living in good conditions, but for so long they put up with these horrible conditions in the camp. You know, those lices, white lices, they had like highways in their bodies, on their faces. They even didn't have soap to wash their hands. So, and we are talking about hundreds of thousands of people. We cannot just say 1 million refugees. This is unacceptable. So, and they had to put up with those difficulties, problems for a long time. And when the UN fact-finding missions came, asked about the needs, Azeri people were saying, oh, we are taking care of it. And they would do their best to treat foreigners, us, as guests, like provide food, set up tables. so to me, it is, I know also from Turkey, we have a saying in Turkish, they, blood comes out of one's mouth, but he or she says, oh, I just had a raspberry juice. There are similar things in Turkey. Now in Izmir, where I live, we had a big earthquake, as you may have heard. Mm-hmm. And there are lots of aid campaigns, lots of nappies for people with babies. They are in the streets, in the tents. Our friends are taking nappies to those people, asking a woman, would you like to have these nappies? The woman says, no, I have it for now. If I need, I will tell you. So this is the character of this region. I don't know whether this is explainable as a fact, but this is the case. So IDPs, they may, of course, the Azeri government may have provided better homes now to them in Baku, outside Baku, but still, we don't know, were they educated enough? Do they have jobs? Young people, they were born there and now they are maybe at the age of 30, 27. Mm-hmm. Do they have jobs? Actually, I remember a project about this, like how we can improve the conditions for young IDPs in Azerbaijan. It was a World Bank project I've seen somewhere years ago. So is it like Palestine? Are they like in a camp, not have easy access to the cities? Do they have money to travel to cities? Forget about like to find jobs. So I am sure there are many issues. It's not about going back to their houses. It is about that mainly, but because it's their just war, right? It's their right, according, as Mr. Ambassador said, according to the international law. But also, I think they need it. They deserve, as all human beings, better lives. As Armenians, I mean, I'll stop here.
Thank you very much, Aygen. I want to talk a little bit about whether you think the conflict that is going on now is significantly different from the conflict that happened in the 1990s. I mean, you were more or less a very close observer. I mean, how is it different now?
In many ways, it is different. Azerbaijan was a small, newly established state then. Today, it is a very powerful country, economically, diplomatically. It has oil connections, common interests. And actually, it was thanks to former President Haydar Aliyev when all nations, big nations, including Turkey, tried to bring Azeris down on the oil negotiations table to sign the agreement. Haydar Aliyev, in my personal opinion, did a very good thing, expanded the circle. He said, okay, I'll sign this agreement under the conditions, under the occupied territories, but I'll bring more nations. And now the situation is different than before. Now there are lots of vested interests in the Caspian oil and gas. Europe is also taking gas and oil from Azerbaijan. Russia has very good links with Azerbaijani president. So it is different, of course, diplomatically, it is different. And Azeris have stronger military, more disciplined, more organized. So that's why they are regaining their own territories. But of course, maybe we can talk later together. Wars are won and lost on the table. So there's an information war going on. As Mr. Ambassador mentioned, Armenians have their own claims and also very active on media, on Twitter, in English, in French, in other languages, vivid pictures. Some fake stories, as we know from Azerbaijan, because they proved that they were fake. We can talk about it as well, if you like.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about, see if Mr. Ambassador first can tell us how he sees this war as different from the 1990s. And were the people as in favor of the war in the 1990s as they are today?
I do agree with Aygen Hanım that Azerbaijani army is different. It is an army of the 21st century. When we were fighting in the 90s, we were not even the army of the advanced 20th century army. Now, most of the Azerbaijani officers have been trained in Turkish military academies and military schools. And when Armenians, for example, say that Azerbaijani army is assisted by Turkish officers, I say it's nonsense, because Azerbaijani officers are Turkish officers because they have got training in the Turkish military academies, so that there is no need, because we see completely different tactics. So Armenian army in Karabakh, they conduct the war from the old Soviet, military books. Azerbaijani army is having the tactic, NATO tactic. It's in fact NATO army military tactic. It's completely, Armenians didn't expect that we will wage such a kind of different war. When we penetrate from different directions, our advanced reconnaissance group penetrate to the rear part of the enemy and strike them. It is completely different kind of war. We have a complete superiority on the air. Famous Israeli drones, also like Harps, for example, and also Bayraktars have made a real change in the tactics. In fact, thanks to the superiority on the air and Azerbaijani army wide use of drones, Armenians just dropped their military hardware like tanks and armored vehicles, because there is a targets, and there is a targets, so that you have much more chances to survive physically if you are on your own, so that if you are in the armored vehicle, chances of your survival, physical survival, are much lesser. So this is different war. Even pro-Armenian, experts, military experts, they recognize Azerbaijani full superiority on the military tactics, on technology. As I said in the past, probably Azerbaijani use of the drones would be started in the future military tactics, because before Azerbaijan, for example, Turkey and Israel used drones against some small terrorist groups in Syria, in Libya. Israel is used also in the region, but wider, when drones are used in the front, when dozens of drones are used in one operation, it is completely new tactics. And I've heard that many armies that have been working over modern, more sophisticated tanks, they are rethinking about that, whether we need tanks when drones can destroy them so easily. I've heard that British Army wants to drop its plans to modernize its modern tanks and different arms, so that drones have shown its effectiveness in modern war, and the war of 21st century is the war with drones and unmanned, flying object. I would say probably tomorrow we'll have some completely different planes. Now, many countries work over the planes without pilots, not only drones, but full planes with much higher load of bombs, guided bombs, and and another kind of destruction of arms. So that completely different war, and everyone recognizes that military tactic of Azerbaijan is absolutely perfect, and the superiority on the air is overwhelming.
And
Thank
also
you,
they
Mr.
are
Ambassador.
they are very careful not to hit civilian targets. No, the reasons of these drones are they seem to be very committed not to harm any civilian.
Absolutely.
Well, we're going to wrap up now, and I want to thank you both. This has been a very enlightening discussion about the civilians and about the citizens of Azerbaijan and why they're so in favor of this conflict. We're going to come back again, I promise you, because I want to talk more to Aygen about
Same here, Joanna.
misinformation. You know I'm a big advocate of talking about the media and how the media can actually help in finding peace.
Award-winning person, communications person. I know.
Well, thank you again, Aygen. Thank you so much, and thank you, Arif, for your insights and knowledge. And we hope to see you again. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.